And we back. Yeah. Malcolm. Next we got a Jubilee video. Do all Latinos think the same? No. I'll be honest with you, Malcolm. It's hard to separate
each individual
Latinos because I know Spanish don't fuck with Puerto Ricans like that, and Puerto Ricans get mad if you call them a Mexican. I don't know. So I don't know. Like, is Latino? Is that the full, like, all of them lumped up together?
Yeah, I guess that's the. I guess
the term or the race. I guess I don't fucking know because
like everybody bunched together.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm asking you. You know, I don't know shit. Yeah. I gotta ask you because you don't even want to hear sitting next to me. So we get all that hate after we done uploaded and said everything we done said. Yeah. So that's when we get informed. But I'm just trying to figure it out right now. Yeah. Do all Latinos think the same? Jubilee. Starting in 3, 2, 1.
What's up, good humans?
Hello.
I'm Ian.
I'm Michael.
And stick around because we're going to talk about some cool stuff at the end of the episode. In the meanwhile, enjoy.
I remember on my third day in my first school here in the U.S., this kid in the locker room was like, so what part of Mexico is Colombia in? And I was just like...
Yeah. Oh, like, sit down, baby. Let me help you out.
Yeah, that's pretty sad too. Like people always
say
something like
shit.
that. Yeah,
and they don't know shit. Nobody knows geography for some reason. None of the races know geography. Cinco de Mayo. So is that like?
That's
I don't know shit. Is that a Mexican holiday?
Yeah, it's like their independence.
I used to work at bars, and I would see like people who are not Mexican completely disrespecting such an important part of the history that I'm just like, I stay away from it.
Part of why I'm so turned off by like the whole concept of how we celebrate it in the US is that, you know, it was like an excuse for people to act really out of pocket and disrespectful and kind of make us feel like they were doing something special for us at the same time. And I was like, yo, I'm not even like Mexican, and this is not what the struggle is about.
I like what you said about, you know, it's kind of disrespectful, and I agree. And that's one of the big problems that I have with like other people who are Mexican Americans saying like, well, I don't have a problem with it. And it's like, well, one, you probably don't have any ownership of it. Like, it doesn't mean anything to you personally. And two, they have this concept that like, well, if more people are exposed to it, then that means that they'll accept us. And it's like, nah, that's not how that works.
That's not how anything works.
It's a day for me to kind of think about my own experiences and how I can teach other people.
Are they really accepting us? It's not really us. That's not who we are.
Yeah,
we don't all wear sombreros and have handlebar mustaches and eat tacos every day.
Wow.
Word, put all the stereotypes out there, bruh.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Motherfuckers in Chicago celebrate Cinco de Mayo.
Motherfuckers in Chicago celebrate anything that involves drinking.
Yeah.
So,
that's just based off of my past and history of like knowledge of everything. Like,
yeah. Like I know, like when it comes to like different cultures, like holidays and stuff, some of them I know.
Everybody in Chicago celebrates St. Patrick's Day. Everybody wears green and get drunk and shit.
Yeah.
I'm just basing it off Chicago and what the fuck I've been seeing for years. Like, nobody takes, like, those type of holidays, like, as serious, like, because I'm pretty sure, because I don't know shit about Cinco de Mayo. I don't know the history. I don't know the revolution.
I just know that.
I don't know shit like that.
I just know that I may be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but from, like, school that, you know, that I believe that's the, like, Independence Day. Yeah.
Something like that, right? All right. But like, I don't think nobody takes it that serious because nobody is really like holding that culture or holding that day like that hard, like to heart. Like, especially if they like how the way people celebrated it here in Chicago, just talking based off Chicago. There's no person, I've never really seen like a Mexican person say, stop celebrating our shit. That's just me. I've never seen no shit like that. But I don't know. There's probably is some people out there that says that shit, but like he was saying, like, motherfucker said, I don't celebrate it and I don't just speak up because motherfuckers, that's not doing shit for me. like you just said, like at the end.
Yeah, he's talking about people that like. I think he was speaking about like Mexican Americans. Yeah. Like they like, well,
he's gonna give us it's showing love to us, or whatever the case is.
Right.
Like, no, I don't want that love. Like I haven't met anybody like that like feels that type of way about, I guess, Cinco de Mayo, whatever the case is. So I don't know shit. Mm-hmm. Like all I know is like that's when all the taco specials and bar specials and everybody gets fucking drunk and everybody goes out and party, whatever the case is. So yeah, I don't know. Starting again in 3, 2, 1.
People assume I'm Mexican. 3, 2.
Everybody gonna slide over.
I mean, I don't know. A lot of Mexican people don't look Mexican sometimes.
Usually people find out that I'm Hispanic or Mexican because of my name, but it's never because of my appearance, because I'm paler, I have blonde hair. People just assume that all Mexicans are dark and shorter and like have dark hair, but the reality is Mexicans come in all sorts of colors, just like America.
I've never gotten like, you look Mexican, even though I feel like in every Latino blog I read, it's like people always assume I'm Mexican as a Latino, and I'm just like, well, it's not really true to me.
I only get called Mexican because of what you said. Oh, you're Latina, so you must be Mexican.
Yeah.
You know, and then I go explain, like, you know, there's a whole continent, like, there's like many countries, and, you know, and a lot of Latinos are from the U.S., like, we're the largest minority. We didn't all just come, you know, last week. We've been here, so it's just ignorance.
I super hear that because, like, I remember on my 3rd day in my first school here in the U.S., this kid in the locker room was like, so what part of Mexico is Colombia in? And I was just like, so for my 3rd world country, they teach us the effing world, but out here, apparently, in like the Silicon Valley, you guys don't get a map.
Right.
False. That's the wildest shit for a motherfucker to say. What part of Mexico is Colombia? Oh man.
Obviously, somebody has been taught any kind of like.
No,
like,
of course not.
Even if when you learn American history, you still learn like
certain part what they want you to learn.
Where everybody's kind of coming from, but they don't tell you like the full like.
Everything. I mean, my
route.
We all have access to a map.
Right. It's on your phone.
Don't credit the little white kid from Silicon Valley. You don't do shit.
I ain't crediting nothing. No, that person was a dumbass for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you do get those people though.
I can never tell. Well, you can always kind of tell, but like she said, there's a whole continent full of
people,
Latinos.
Yeah, it's
so
like different.
There's no telling. Because a lot of Puerto Ricans, like it's black Puerto Ricans.
Yeah.
Like you would never know unless you like actually ask them or see how they speak.
Yeah, there's a lot of like if you go to Puerto Rico, like
there's a lot of different type of black people.
Yeah, my wife is like
everything.
a half. Yeah, she's like half because her dad's from like Puerto Rico and stuff. So like, if you go there, it's people like as dark as me, darker than me, darker than me. And yeah, so you can't just assume everybody's light and stuff. That's another thing too. Like
ignorance.
Yeah, like the movies and shit, they got you thinking that
everybody wear sombreros and big mustaches. Like
yeah, eat tacos. Yeah, when they really don't.
That's all they fucking think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Starting in the 3, 2, 1.
I feel comfortable speaking my native language in public.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I hope so.
2, 1, go.
Fuck these people.
Right?
Bad.
Somewhat.
Since I've moved to the Bay, I've had Mexican, Salvadorian, and Honduran parents and students literally act as if they don't understand me because I speak in a black Spanish vernacular.
That's fucked up.
I'm just at the point where I'm just like, I'm tired of like
conforming yourself with somebody else.
acting as if our language is uneducated or acting as if our language is like, comes from nothing. Our language comes from literally everything.
Even though I'm not fluent in Spanish, I'm conversational, I still speak it at work, like, and all my customers, they come to me relieved, like, when they find out that I can communicate to them in Spanish. And even though I'm not fluent, I do, however, see a little dishonor, kind of, when I go visit family.
Well, I mean, like, for me, in my experience, I kind of had the same thing where I grew up speaking Spanish, and then I went to school, lost it, and then I've regained it as I've gotten older. But, like, for me, I live in a fairly conservative area.
Same.
Like, people have Confederacy tattoos. It can be really intense, you know what I mean? And for me, there is still a little bit of that fear.
I love the instant affinity you have with people, especially, I'm getting a little emotional about it. Like people who have left everything to come here, and they're not even seen. And when I speak to them in Spanish, I feel that they feel seen for the first time. And even though we're not from the same country, we don't have the same experiences, I just feel like I have to, and I feel so blessed that I can speak Spanish. I just hope like we just honor our roots, and not just Spanish, but like you said, there's a lot of native languages that we should honor and we should practice.
Yo, why not use what you've been taught, like, and what's been passed down through generation to generation to generation? Like, that's
fucking awesome.
That's your fucking culture. Like, that's you. That's like in your bloodline. Like, shit.
Yeah, for like us African Americans, we don't we don't have that luxury because like all that shit was lost. Yeah. Like it's so many of us we don't even know like our history and shit, and we have to like find it out for ourselves.
What tribe you came from? What part of like Africa and shit like that? Like a whole bunch of shit like that.
Like I couldn't tell you. Like I honestly don't know. Not unless I was to take like an ancestry, shit like that, to actually find out what's in my like actual blood.
See what language you spoke then and stuff like that. But that's even more fucked up because you got to go even further. Like, say you find out your tribe and shit like that and all that other shit, but then you can never really understand, like, what language you probably spoke, because that shit might be lost in translation, too. Like, that shit might be gone, too. So, like, shit, if you could speak Spanish or whatever, like, language or whatever the fuck the case is, shit, speak that shit, man. Fuck these people, bro. I'm sorry. But fuck these people. Stop conforming. Don't even worry about conforming to motherfuckers. Like, motherfuckers get mad at us because we curse, say niggas, talk how we talk on a regular fucking daily basis. Sorry, this is how I talk. This is how I talk around my mom. This is how I talk around my dad. I'm gonna speak my fucking mind. That's how the fuck I was taught, and that's what the fuck I do. Sorry, bro. Like, I don't give a fuck. Fuck is, I guess they gonna say it for me because I don't know what the fuck that is. Starting again in 3, 2, 1.
The word Latinx is offensive to me.
Latinx.
Pause again. I've never heard. You ever heard Latinx?
I have never heard that.
I've never heard that shit.
Person of Latin American origin or descent.
Used as a gender-neutral or non-binary alternative to Latino. See, I just learned that word non-binary. So I honestly don't.
So
I don't know what that
are they
means.
not identifying as
Latino or Latina?
Yeah,
I don't get.
Or are they
a person of Latin American origin or descent used as a gender neutral or non-binary alternative to Latino or Latina.
So basically, instead of being Latino, Latina.
So you don't confine your sex. I forgot because
the whole sex.
It's OA and all that shit. I don't know. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, I would assume that. Well, yeah, that would be offensive. I would assume that would be offensive, right?
I guess it depends on the person. Like if they don't like,
I'm just saying, like,
labels
if they
in general,
but yeah, if they non-binary,
then.
But like, if you consider yourself a man or you did the operation or whatever for the case is,
transition.
Yeah, you transitioned over to be a man from a woman, or the case is, you would probably want to be considered a Latino. I guess I don't fucking.
Or Latina.
Latina, you know what I mean.
Latino is man.
Shut up, man. Shut the fuck up.
I don't know. It's been a while since I studied some Spanish.
But Latinx, that sounds. I don't know. I've never heard that shit, so I don't know. I've never heard that.
I kind of like have a bigger problem with the word Hispanic. While I'm not in love with the word Latinx, like I really do love that it's inclusive of all genders. I'm waiting for the point where there will be another term because it just doesn't sit right.
So I call myself a Latina. I'm proud to be a Latina. Now, I have very dear friends who are non-binary, and they request that I call them Latinx. Of course, I'm going to honor that, and I am glad that there is a term that they embrace, but I don't think I should have to change mine.
I think people are going to call themselves what
So
they want.
Is it culture or
doing
sex?
that forever. I think it's the fact that when we say Latino or Latina, we are excluding trans people in our language. Like, our language is powerful, and I think that, I know what you're saying because I've had this conversation with like my parents and my aunts. Like, it's worth a tiny bit of discomfort to include trans people.
I'm gonna just pause because I don't know if they're speaking of culture or they're just speaking of like sex. Like a lot of the talk was like of sex, but then she was saying something like culture wise.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So like if somebody wants to inform us, like comment below because I'm not sure like.
I guess it depends.
Which part that was going towards, whatever the case is.
Because it seemed like I guess depends. Because like the lady was saying that she got friends that identify as not binary.
Yeah.
Or whatever, and like she was just saying from a standpoint of her like just being proud of her heritage, that she like to be
considered Latina.
Yeah, known as that, and she doesn't mind that, but she don't want to be, I guess, called the Latinx or Latinx or whatever.
Starting again, 3, 2, 1.
Oh man.
Grab a chocolate.
How hard?
I think that's the thing.
Oh man.
I just seen a couple people get hit with a chocolate upside the head.
Yeah.
Motherfucker throwing that bitch.
I am a teacher. Like, Latinos are, at least my Latino parents that I see in my schools, are so quick to like, the kid could just say something back, like finish a sentence for the parent. The parent is like, blah, dale un manoplazo en la cara. And it's like, but why? Because I see this other kid who's white, and it's out here wilding.
I spanked my kids a little bit. It wasn't even like that much. I remember the one time my mom spanked me, and it stayed with me. I don't recommend it. I'm not here like, oh, pro spanking, but I think it should be, it's somebody's right to a certain point.
I think that some of my family members who haven't had the privileges of education and the kind of lifestyle that they have,
his shirts and the little buttons on his jeans.
Because I remember when I first got to the U.S., like in Colombia, like we're a very violent country. And I think a lot of what we see is just that being replicated into our families. But there was a certain point where my mom was gonna smack me like that. Like I would like talk back to her and when I was like 13, I just grabbed her hand midair one time. And I was like, we're not doing it like this anymore. And I think a lot of that was coming from my American side.
Spanking to me is a tool that is easiest. It's like if they're old enough to have a conversation about what they did wrong, then have the conversation. And if they're not old enough to understand what they did wrong, then why would you hit them?
Spanking is the hardest thing to do. I agree with you, but spanking is the hardest thing to do.
I see another Jubilee video. Parents on spanking.
Discipline.
I don't think that's just stuck. Like, I don't think it's just Latino people. Like, it's
kind of worldwide.
Modern. It's all like
all cultures.
Yeah, it's everybody.
Pretty sure white people spank their kids. Like
some of them do.
Might get time outs. I don't know. I don't know what white people do. But yeah, I spank my kids. I don't give a damn.
Okay. I mean, yeah, get out of line and stuff.
Respect your elders.
Yeah, you gotta respect your elders.
Yeah. But I understand what he was saying too. Like if they're old enough to talk, but talking don't always work, bro.
Yeah.
Sorry. Talking to
sometimes you say something.
Talking to a parent of 4. Sometimes you say something, one thing go in the air, and one thing go right out there. So sometimes you gotta resort to what you gotta resort to. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's like I don't think people like do it like obsessively. Like,
I don't know if they talk about like beating and like
but
like beating them halfway to death and shit like that. But
I don't think it's that. I just think it's more of a all culture thing, minority thing, like or disciplinary thing.
Yeah, more disciplinary. Starting to get in 3, 2, 1.
Connecting with my culture. 3, 2, 1, go.
Everybody move over.
You guys remember in the movie Selena when they're in the van and Abraham is talking to Selena, you know, and he's saying like, being Mexican American is hard. You know, you have to be twice as Mexican for the Mexicans, twice as American for the Americans, you know, and it's exhausting.
Yeah.
And that's more or less where I am right now. And that's why I moved completely away from national identities. Like, that's why I don't identify as Mexican, because to Mexicans who are from Mexico, I'm not Mexican enough.
That's another thing that I also have an issue with is just because I'm paler, I'm güera, I get thrown into that white supremacist kind of category that no one really likes. And that literally, it destroys me mentally. Like, it's just no one has the right to tell you what you are or assume what you are. And it's really just frustrating.
I really like that you bring up that point, because I think as a community, we need to do a lot of work around that, in the sense that I have noticed in my own experience how me having light skin has definitely yielded me different results, or I've been able to push different boundaries of, I've had different access.
Because we do have a lot of things in common. You know, as a people, we have, I know it's not just language, because if you don't speak Spanish, you're still gonna be fully embracive of the culture. So I just love finding those commonalities between different, you know, nationalities. It makes me happy.
Damn.
I've enjoyed our group hug.
That was cool. I guess we answered this already because we don't know like our background, culturally or whatever the case is like that. But
it'd be nice to be like.
You should probably do that, Malcolm.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe
on
the channel.
Maybe when we get up there, hit like a certain amount of subs or something. Do it.
Do a 23andMe.
Or Ancestry or whatever.
We fought for, and see if we are real enemies out here in these streets. Starting in the 3, 2, 1. You should ask them a fun question like,
hey guys, my name is Michael.
I'm Ian.
Thank you so much
they should ask them that.
Yeah, some stuff. Yeah, like think about deportation and that shit.
Yeah. Episodes you've ever seen.
They might be too, I don't know, because they might be too close to shit like that, probably by that time.
Really? That's great. In the process of making Spectrum as a series, what do you think is something you've learned or something that's changed really new?
Oh, every time I do this series, I learn something new, but the biggest thing I learned is like, no, everyone doesn't think the same.
Thank you for watching, you guys. Follow us on Instagram at Jubilee Media. We post a lot of different kind of stuff for you guys, and we also love just interacting with you and hearing your opinions and epiphanies and your stories and all that kind of stuff. We have so much more that we want to give to you guys, so yeah, follow us on everywhere.
Everywhere.
And we'll see you around.
See ya.
Bye.
Yeah, they should ask some more little hard-hitting questions and shit like that.
Yeah, because I will really want to see like their opinions on certain things and stuff. I know.
I'm only assuming because it's probably too close to them, something like that. Probably that's the only thing to ask. I don't know. That's a real conversational piece.
Yeah, that's a real conversational piece for anybody.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
Just them.